We're just days into the new reality of this presidential election. A new poll from the New York Times out today has Kamala Harris just 1 point down against Donald Trump nationally. That's a national poll. We haven't seen a ton of state polls. But that is an improvement since Trump was up by 6 points in that same poll just a few weeks ago. She's also raised roughly $130 million, mostly from small donors, and tens of thousands of volunteers have signed up. No question, the vice president is off to a strong start. But the attacks are definitely getting uglier. I was just talking about this. The race is going to be close. Everybody should prepare themselves for that. And we have just over 100 days to go. So where do we go from here? I'm joined now by someone on the short list to be Kamala Harris's vice president, Governor Tim Walz, Democrat of Minnesota. Governor, I am not going to make you confirm that or ask you to tell me the status, but here's what I do want to know. Thank you. The role of vice president and the role of being a running mate is about complementing the talents of the person at the top of the ticket. So how would you complement Vice President Kamala Harris?
Well, thanks for having me, Jen. Yeah, it's about shared values. And I think the one thing is that there's a wealth of people out there because Vice President Harris is doing what all of us were so hungry for, articulating a positive future for America where everybody belongs, where opportunity is out there, and we treat each other with dignity. And I think the thing is just surrounding yourself with those type of people. That's what she's done. That's why she was there with Joe Biden, one of the most decent men you'll find. And you see her, and I continue to make this case. The contrast is so great that it is stunning right now, and the polling and all of that, it will shake itself where it's going to be. But I've done this for a long time. I have not seen the engagement. I've got a 23-year-old who told me TikTok is on fire. I see people smiling, and there's just a much more of this sense of a decency around there. So I think whoever ends up being part of that, we're all on a team to make something better. I love Joe Biden saying it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about you. It's about everybody else. So I think what you've got is you're going to see complementary values. You're going to see the ability to go out and connect with folks across the country, because I hear Vice President Harris say it. We have far more in common. This idea that you need a specific messenger for a specific person, I'm not so sure that's true. I think what you just need people who are willing to lean into values, not willing to think that anyway this is normal. You got a former president that thinks calling names and spreading lies is the way to get people. They're continuing to shrink the electorate on their side. Their ceiling and their floor are the same, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I'm just excited.
You just need to win more votes to win the election. That's what it's about, as you well know. Now, you've had some, I think maybe your 23-year-old. Your 23-year-old governor may have told you that you've gone a little viral lately for basically calling a bunch of Republicans weird. Now, I happen to agree with you when you watch some of these clips, but tell us a little bit more about why you settled on that particular description.
You pull back up that clip of Sebastian Gorka. Weird. There's nothing. That guy's central casting of like a Bond villain, and they continue to be obsessed with things. You know there's something wrong with people when they talk about freedom to be in your bedroom, freedom to be in your exam room, freedom to tell your kids what they can read. That stuff is weird. They come across weird. They seem obsessed with this. They continue to try and tell you. And look, the thing that I find the most weird about it is they never do the things they say. I heard one time very early on, you do not need your elected officials to give you a sermon, but they should try and live one. And these guys are weird on how they frame it. They are obsessed. And I said it the other day, the He-Man Woman Haters Club, I don't know where this is coming from. And I'll have to tell you today here in Minnesota, joyous day. I just appointed our newest Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Sarah Hennessy. Minnesota was the first state, and we have a majority women on the Supreme Court, and we have a woman of color as the Chief Justice. That scares the hell out of these guys. That just terrifies them. And then they start being weird. They think they have to listen to their stories. They think they're connecting with people, and they tell things, and everybody feels uncomfortable around them. So I'm sticking with that because I don't know what else describes it, but I know that it's more cynical and it's deeper and it's hurtful and hateful. But I think one of the things you point out to this, they're not offering us anything. They're not going to come with a plan. And this is my thing every day. I ask, where's your health care plan? So yeah, they're weird, and I am not changing that. And the thing is every day they give me more proof of that. So it's pretty self-evident.
I think weird is a very apt. I mean, sharks versus being electrocuted. It's a weird thing to keep talking about. Let's be real. Now, I want to ask you about J.D. Vance, because you've been governor of a state that has a lot of rural small towns. I know you're proud of that. You talk about that all the time. What is J.D. Vance? He claims
Yes.
to represent that. What is he missing about small-town rural America, and what is he getting wrong as he talks about it out there?
Pretty much everything, and he profited off it. I'll start out with is he misreads this in Hillbilly Elegy about this some type of cultural angst or whatever. No, we're angry because robber barons like him gutted middle America. They took our jobs. And then they try and tell you that school vouchers are the thing to go on. Look, I went to a high school, 400 people in the town, 24 kids in my class, 12 cousins. Ed Pebble was my government teacher. He did a hell of a good job. And look, you think you're going to build a private school in the town? Like, who's going to pay for it? You know how this works. They pull the money out of the public schools. They stick it in the private schools for vouchers for people who are already going there. J.D. Vance knows nothing about that. And then he keeps going into all of these things. Today's IVF day. Thank God for IVF. My wife and I have 2 beautiful children. He thinks he needs to dictate that. And I've been saying this, the golden rule that makes small towns work so we're not at each other's throats all the time in a little town is mind your own damn business. I don't need him to tell me about my family. I don't need to tell him about my wife's health care and her reproductive rights. I don't need him telling my children what books they can read. He's fired to do that with whatever he wants, but I'm not interested in it. And I think rural America is, they are angry. They were gutted. But Joe Biden's policies and now soon to be President Harris bringing back manufacturing jobs, bringing back dignity, investing in infrastructure. How are you going to build a water treatment plant in a town of 400 if you don't have a collective effort at it? So I have to tell you, they scream socialism. We just build roads and we build schools and we build prosperity into this. Their whole plan is to go backwards, to give tax cuts to the wealthy. And look, it was so surprising. You know, these super successful Donald Trump who inherited $400 million and then proceeded to fail at everything. Middle America, you earn it, but you know what? You're not on your own. Neighbors help neighbors. And I will, this one bothers me. I heard you talking about punching back at the bullies. They see people less fortunate as scapegoats and you know, punchlines for their jokes. We see them as neighbors. And I said it with my mom. My dad dies when my little brother's young. We're teenagers. We get Social Security survivor benefits. I'm all for pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. We didn't have any boots. Social Security was the boots, and we pulled ourselves up, and we paid that back. And I think J.D. Vance gets none of that. You know, it's the aw shucks, I'm from here or whatever. So my hillbilly cousins did not go to Yale, but I'll tell you what they did. They contributed to our community, and they're proud of it.
Look out for your neighbors. Stop being weird. The Governor Tim Walz way of politicking. We love to hear it. Thank you so much, Governor, for joining me. I really appreciate it.